You ready for the big game, Ohio State versus the Fighting Irish?
Yeah, certainly exciting. So we brought in a friend of the show, 1410 Wing AM's Justin Kinner from the Justin Kinner Show.
Obviously the right fan.
Oh yeah, he's got a lot of
Fan of the
Buckeye
right
stuff
team.
right there behind him. So Justin, big expectations this year. Are we excited for this first game?
Woo.
Absolutely. Usually we have one of those like cupcake games to kind of open up the season, and we have to try to pretend to build a big matchup when really it's just about seeing Ohio State. But this time it's a little different. They don't get to ease into the season. They're going to be tested right off the bat against, of course, Notre Dame and the built-in storyline of a former Buckeye leading the Fighting Irish and Marcus Freeman, obviously. So. And then you have the game at night under the lights, the game to watch, week one for college football. I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than this to kick off the season. I'm pretty excited. I'm sure you guys are as well.
I'm a big Buckeye fan. I talk about it a lot here on the show. So I've been following, C.J. Stroud really came out last season and shocked, I think, not just Buckeye Nation, but really everyone. He's a talented kid. Super sweet kid, by the way, as well. What are your expectations for him going forward this season? Do you think he's going to have the teammates built up around him to be able to do what he did last season?
I think the scary thing is that they're in position to do even more than they did last year. I mean, this is a kid that took, if you think about the string of quarterbacks that Ohio State has had as of late, if it really starts all the way back in 2014 with that crazy storyline of Braxton Miller to J.T. Barrett to Cardale Jones. And then the big quarterback battle between Dwayne Haskins and Joe Burrow, who went on to do a couple decent things. He wasn't bad.
Just a few.
And then, from Dwayne Haskins to go right into, of course, Justin Fields and to replace Justin Fields with C.J. Stroud. I think there's a lot more pressure on quarterbacks at programs like Ohio State and Alabama and others who you don't get that freshman kind of that feel where they get to be eased into the situation. You're expected to be great from day one. So I thought C.J. Stroud dealt with that pressure last year, at the highest of levels, of course, opening up the season on a Thursday night on the road at Minnesota in a tough environment. And to watch him grow as the season went on and get better and better, and not just get better on the field, but get better as a leader. That's the one thing that I think is going to elevate not just his game this year, but those around him. And you could already tell just in the practices and hearing the way Ryan Day's talking about him. I think the biggest step he's going to take is really not the talent on the field. It's just the ability to round the troops, if you will. I think these guys are going to rally around him. And I think he's one of the Heisman favorites for a reason. And as long as this offense does what they're supposed to, I think he's going to be, right there, one of the favorites and potentially be holding up that trophy when it's all said and done.
All right, so you're hyping up that offense. Our defense last year struggled a little bit. How do we? Have you had any inkling? Have you heard anything? Are we going to be up to our Buckeye par when it comes to our defense?
We had on my show earlier in the week, we had Bobby Carpenter, former Buckeye, on the show, and I asked him on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that in year one, right off the bat, new defensive coordinator Jim Knowles, how confident are you that this team that he's going to have this team in position of where they need to be right off the bat against Notre Dame? And on a scale of 1 to 10, Bobby Carpenter said an 8. Ooh. He said he loves everything he's seeing from this team, the energy, the way they're flying around the field, they're responding to the coaching. Last year there was a lot of unknown and guys who you could tell they were uncomfortable in certain positions. There's a lot more confidence, even from the young guys. I'm real excited about C.J. Hicks, the alternate that's going to be getting a lot of time here for the Buckeyes this season. I'm pretty excited about that. But, there is room to be concerned. Is it fair to expect a team to, who struggled so much defensively last year to just be dominant right off the bat? I don't know. I like to be cautiously optimistic. People say I'm negative, but I need to see it to believe it. And I think the great thing about playing a team like Notre Dame is we don't have to wait a couple games to find out if the defense is much improved. I think we're going to get a very up close and personal view of just how improved this defense is against a Notre Dame offense that may not have elite wide receivers right now because they're banged up, but they have one of the best tight ends in the country, one of the best offensive lines in the country, and a quarterback who can make plays with his legs that'll make things a little tricky for the defense for the Buckeyes.
Kinner, I love listening to your show. I know your callers like to give you some heat about, being a little negative. But, hey, you got to hold their feet to the fire, my man. Keep up the good work.
Listen, you can't be too negative. Let me tell you, from one Buckeye to another, I got your back on that.
I need as many people to have my back as possible in this city.
I'll be right there defending. Don't you worry.
Thanks for coming on. We'll see you next week.
Always look forward to chatting with you guys. Thank you.